What is up, everybody? And I know I'm a little bit late on this, but one thing I gotta point out, and I'm sure the show will be happening soon anyways, is my Impact Wrestling review. One thing I should have been talking about the entire week, but I haven't had time, was the review, well, the match on this show of Sami Callihan versus Eddie Edwards in the middle of the woods in a unsanctioned match. What do I have to say about this? It was batshit crazy, but before I even get more into that match, we pretty much kicked it off with tag team titles on the line for some reason of Z and E versus Aerostar and Drago, even though I believe that they did face OVE for a title shot, but I don't think any of them won because it was a DQ. But this was actually a good match. I will say that it was enjoyable. Once again, the only thing that kills a lot of the show is the crowd itself. I believe this was the last time they were in Orlando for these tapings, so good. I believe the next one's in Windsor, Canada. That should be by next week's show. So I'd rather see that, and hopefully that crowd's a little bit more livelier because the Impact Zone sucks. Listen, Redemption was good, but after that you could tell who the wrestling fans were and the people that are tourists are. But I did like this match. It was really good. Z and E did pick up the win. I did it. It was good. They hit. Everett hit a 630 senton after Zima Ion hit a ZDT. So I did enjoy this match. It was really good to kick off the show, which would get the crowd up hot. But like I said, the Impact Wrestling crowd really sucks. But moving on from that, it was Don Callis and Josh Matthews talking about what was going to happen tonight as they talked about Brian Cage's World Destruction Tour and this whole Red X thing who's attacking people. They pretty much hyped the entire Sami Callihan versus Eddie Edwards with a video package, as Eddie Edwards says he was going to bring a camera crew with him to the Rubes. To the Rubes. I meant the woods. To document all of this. Yes, you're documenting how you're going to murder somebody. Yeah, document a murder. Okay. But moving on from that, they had Sanjay Dutt and Petey Williams arguing over, I guess, the whole Red X thing, who's beating up people, as Petey Williams got pissed and was going to go home. They talked about Sue Young and how she won the title last week on Under Pressure. And I'm going to skip the whole Global Wrestling Network thing because I think it's ridiculous that they play these matches for way too long. It was some match between RVD and Tommy Dreamer from Turning Point. This went on for like 7-8 minutes. I think Dreamer broke his wrist at the time, but I'm not going to go through that. It's actually something interesting. LAX. Time for another segment with them. Santana and Ortiz were playing cards, dominoes. You know, they were just playing around until Diamante showed back up. Diamante, I believe her leg was hurt at the time, but she was back, and you know, back with open arms. Finally, she was back on the show, but she wondered what happened to K-Dog and Homicide. Where they at? Where's the money at? How are we losing money? Where are we losing all this stuff? LAX was worried about it, but as Ortiz pretty much pointed out, they said, hey, King got this handled, so we're good. But Diamante said King's doing this because it's kind of convenient that Conan disappears, but now Eddie Kingston takes over, and he's the new Jefe now. And as Eddie Kingston walked in, you know, he said, we're going to get revenge for K-Dog. A lot of times he said revenge. As Diamante kind of looked on, he said we got to get payback on Trevor Lee and Caleb Conley tonight. But as Diamante said, where's K-Dog? Eddie Kingston said that he's in the safe spot right now, but it's good that you're looking out for him. As Diamante just looked at him, knowing you couldn't trust Eddie Kingston. She's like the only one that can't trust him. You know, we're going to have revenge and stuff. And Kingston said, you know, we're doing this for K-Dog. As she said, yeah, for Conan. So, even though the other LAX members are oblivious to what's going on right now, Diamante looks like she's only smart when knowing you can't trust Kingston, that it's too convenient that he may have been the one that took out Conan and Homicide. So why they're not there? We all know why Conan's not there, because I believe he had hip surgery, I think, or some surgery I remember him having, why he's not on the show. But this whole mystery of who took out Conan and Homicide now, Diamante probably might know. So it's good to see her back on the show again. Since she has been gone for a very, very long time. I believe it's because of a knee injury. But yeah, she doesn't trust Eddie Kingston right off the bat. LAX pretty much made quick work of the Cult of Lee picking up the win getting I think the pinfall off of Caleb Conley. So yeah, LAX trying to get their wins back after been going on a losing streak. I wish they do something more at the Colts League because they need to, but hopefully they figure out something for him, especially Trevor Lee. Guys, have too much talent. Eli Drake came out. It was time for Fact of Life. He hasn't done it in a while, and he's been taking all these acting offerings in LA. But he talked about the biggest dummy and taking out Scott Steiner. But it's time to name the top 5 dummies in Impact Wrestling. Number 5 was the Impact Zone itself. Yeah, because they barely react, so I can understand why they're dummies. And then the Impact Zone chanted that he sucked and that they were jealous. As he went on to talk about more of the dummies from Austin Aries. We'll get back to him in a second, though. 3 was Impact Management, which is pretty true. Yes, management, they are dummies. He went to number 2 dummy, which was the fans. They were the dummies, and the number 1 dummy was Moose, which is kind of true. He made fun of Moose and talked about, everybody's talking about he's on a roll. How is he on a roll? That he's outsmarted the dumb Moose. He said saying like, "Hey, I'll take your tag team briefcase," and he ended up with 2 briefcases then. But as Eli Drake said, it's going to be next week for a number 1 contender spot at Slammiversary, which even I don't know how this happened. Between Eli Drake and Moose for next week's show, Moose came out and said that, you say you call everyone the number 1 dummy, but you're the number 1 dummy because you lost the world title and tag titles shots. Especially you couldn't even cash in against Pentagon Jr. And Moose said that Drake was a dummy and a loser, but Drake says, I don't need gold because I am gold. He started beating up Moose and threw the podium on him, and they ended it from there. But he did have a point about Moose being a dummy, because they have booked Moose to look like a dummy most of the time to what they've done with him. He really is, because what else have they done really good with him? He needs to turn heel, or he needs a manager, really, because it's not working. And I don't really think he should be having a title shot against... why is he even having a title shot? What has he really done to even get a title shot next week for Slammiversary to go against Austin Aries? Or have Eli Drake go over on this so you can get his, get some type of payback, keep him in that main event spot. I like Moose, but they booked him to be like a moron unless they start changing something with him around, because it's not looking good. Brian Cage went against Rahir Raju. Brian Cage pretty much picked up the win with the Weapon X, as Matt Sydal came out talking about Cage is trying to open up his third eye. That he sees the weakness in Cage, and so why does this guy have an X-Division title shot to begin with? But as he touched Cage's forehead, Cage hit him with an F5, pretty much picking up the X-Division titles to get ready for that match next week. Next was what did we go through? I think it was with Austin Aries, who was being Skype interviewed as he had a smoothie talking about who's he going to face between Moose or Drake, as Drake, he's already beaten Moose, and Moose is just a mediocre NFL player, as he talked about the whole low blow last week on Pentagon Jr., which I don't know why he hasn't had a rematch for a title shot next. And he talked about how Ric Flair won championship. It doesn't matter how the person won. It's just that they won, and it's in the record books. And that he's the greatest man that ever lived, and the belt collector, and, he says he's wanting to do dirty to people that people aren't willing to do. He's going to go over the edge that some can't. So, it's an okay interview. I will say that, to figure out who is going to be Austin Aries' opponent. They went to the press conference for Slammiversary, which Johnny Mundo, Johnny Impact, Johnny whatever his name on whatever show, as he talked about he got married to Talia Valkyrie, and he is surviving, but he will be back for Slammiversary. Is he going to, he said the John Taraj is back. The John Taraj sounds very lame. They played a Madison Rain video package, as Mackenzie mentioned. I interviewed Tessa Blanchard last week about the whole loss, and that, there are winners and losers, and that, Tessa is a winner, and that winners can make things happen, and that losers are insecure. So Kiera Hogan pretty much came up and trying to pretty much glow. It says, how about that loss last week? You're not living up to the hype. And Tessa got pissed and started throwing Kiera Hogan all over the place, as Kiera tried to fight back. the referee tried to hold it back. Tessa pretty much got her and threw her on the side of a wall and then threw a trash can at her. Which I don't know why Kiera Hogan even came up and even tried to do something to Tessa Blanchard, knowing she'd probably get her ass kicked trying to gloat. But they are building the women up nicely, I will say that. Tessa Blanchard make her pretty much a bully right now, taking out everybody. And I damn like how they are trying to build Kiera Hogan and putting some depth to her. So they may have another match between these two. So maybe they'll do something good from here. Moose was pissed off in the back that he was going to hurt Eli Drake next week. He's gonna, he's just gonna mess him up. It's gonna hurt him, even though he's in a match next week. So he'll hurt him anyways. But now we get to the coup de grace of this show. Sami Callihan versus Eddie Edwards. By God, this was batshit silly insane. Yeah, Eddie Edwards is looking for Sami Zayn. Why I keep saying Sami Zayn, Sami Callihan, and Jake Chris is in a tree, pretty much saying everything like an owl, as Eddie Edwards called him, I think called him a fuck boy or a bitch boy. And Sami Callihan showed up with a camera then and called Eddie Edwards a dumbass. He teleported then as Jake Chris teleported and tried to attack Eddie Edwards from behind until he took a tree branch and started choking him out with it. And the next thing he does, and this may be murder on TV right here, folks. He took a rock, put it under Jake Chris's head, and stepped on it. So he may have just killed him on TV. Yeah, he may have killed him. And then next thing you know, he's walking around the woods again. Dave comes out, Dave Chris, and he tried to attack him from behind, which he threw him in the back of the trunk and a wall. He put him in the back of the trunk and just starts slamming the back of the trunk on top of his I guess back or spine. Man, killed him too. And then he looks at Sami Callihan as he see him. Eddie's making all these faces and stuff, and he pretty much run. And Sami Callihan said, "Let's do this, motherfucker." As he had his bat and Eddie had his giant stick. He pretty much got the upper hand over Callihan at first, hitting him with the stick in the stomach. But then Sami Callihan got away as they start battling, trying to gouge each other's eyes out with their thumb. It looks like Sami Callihan found his moose ox-like skull and tried to throw it at Eddie Edwards and pinned him into the tree. And then he tried to throw it at him, which he missed then. And then Eddie took this stick and started jabbing it into Callahan's head with blood everywhere. And he says, "Time to die!" And then next thing you know, his wife Alicia and Tommy Dreamer show up telling him to stop. It's over. It's over. Okay, it's over now. And Eddie said he got distracted. Callihan disappeared, and Eddie said, "No, he's gone. He's gone." And Alicia said, "You would end this now." And then Dreamer tried to help, and then Eddie takes out Dreamer then with the bat, and then he said, "You stay here with him, okay? I'm gonna go fucking find Sami. All right, you stay here with you want. I'm gonna go get him." Which this was insane. Was this anything near the final deletion? No, this wasn't like the Hardys. And yes, you don't have Jeremy Borash producing this. It was funny like the final deletion. I will say that. The first time I saw that, I thought it was hilarious too. Maybe minus a little bit of a production here and there, but it was insanity. I still don't know why they keep pulling Tommy Dreamer into this. I believe he's on Lucha Underground now too. Why they pull him into this, I don't know. But this was insanity. So I don't know how crazy they're gonna make like crazy Eddie Edwards. The personality this time, and he doesn't sound bland or like vanilla ice cream. Because I'll admit, I thought it was a bad idea when they put the world title on him back then. But that was when Corgan was in charge. I bet it was a surprise and everything when he won the world title. But I just didn't really think he could. I don't know, man. The guy's a great wrestler, but him on the mic, he just sounds so bland. That's why I said Davey Richards should have been the champion at the time. But I like this crazy one because, he's a little bit better. And I think that, like I said, I think he's entertaining. Trying to make him look crazy. The faces looks kind of silly, but I will say it's a better than, the usual bland face promo that he would usually cut. But we'll see where this goes. I believe they're in the next Windsor for the next taping, so hopefully this is good leading into Slammiversary, because we're not that far away from there, 2 people, so the build up for Slammiversary I'm sure will begin tonight, or whenever show, Thursday or whatever, but get ready to watch out for that. I am out of here. I will see you guys later. Peace out.